I've grown multiple Instagram accounts to over 1 million followers. And let me tell you, growing these accounts might be easier than you think. So in this video, I want to break down the roadmap that I used to get multiple accounts to over 1 million followers. I will break down the 5-step roadmap, and you don't want to miss any of them because all of them compound on each other. Starting with number one of this 5-step roadmap is to pick a niche. Why does this matter? So, first of all, you want to pick a niche. You don't want to be all over the place. That's not how you grow. And why this matters is because when you pick a niche, you have clarity of the direction that you want to take. And it's also clarity for your audience, right? Like if they follow you for a certain niche, a certain topic, the certain thing, they will expect that type of content. So you don't want an audience to, for example, follow you for fitness advice and then, the next week you start posting about, I don't know, some random stuff, right? Some travel or some fashion. In some cases, when you get more broader, you can definitely start to niche out. Well, like I'm going to be explaining in a little bit. But in the beginning, you really, really want to set the expectations of what your account is about, what type of account that is, whether that's a business account, a brand account, a personal brand. What is it and why should people follow you? Make it as clear as possible for your audience. Now, when it comes to my journey, like you guys read here, I tried everything. I tried fitness, I tried motivation, travel, fashion, food. Um, but growth really started to happen when I niched down on each of these accounts. Basically, what I did was I started a whole bunch of pages on Instagram. It was a whole network of pages, somewhere in the fitness niche, somewhere in the travel niche, fashion, food, motivation, self-development. Um, and a little backstory of mine, a lot of them failed, guys. A lot of them, like for example, the travel, the fashion, the food, they all did not make it for one reason or the other, whether that's growth didn't happen or monetization was not there. But a lot of them did make it. Like I mentioned to you guys, a couple of them, I did not only grow one, but I grew a couple of them. For example, one fitness one, I grew to a little over 100,000 followers. And then where I really saw success with was motivation and self-development. I grew multiple accounts to millions of followers on these. Um, if you guys want more story on, my story, I definitely can make another video, regarding that. But for right now, the important part is, like I said, growth did not start to happen until I niched down on each of these accounts. For example, I was just posting motivational content for the motivational accounts. For the fitness accounts, I was just posting fitness and nothing else, right? Niche down very specifically. That's the first thing I would say. And I want to dive a little bit further because people just think, oh, if I just pick fitness and I post fitness, I post my food, I post, one week I'm posting my food, one week I'm posting my bodybuilding workouts, the next week I'm posting how to not make my joints hurt from working out. All of these are sub niches within each, right? So, for example, like the food might attract more of the nutrition, fitness, health type of individual, while the bodybuilding workout might attract more of the bodybuilders. And maybe while the how to get rid of joint pain might attract a little bit of the older demographic. Maybe they're a little bit older and trying to figure out some of the exercises they can do to not have their joints hurt, right? So really get specific about the niche. And like I said, what do you want to be known for, right? I love fitness, so I give this fitness example a lot. What do you want to be known for? Is it nutrition? Is it bodybuilding? Is it losing weight? What is it that you want to be known for? Really, really, really know that. And I already mentioned this to you guys, but you want to stay consistent over time, not be changing niches every week. Be consistent. When you're consistent with the type of content and the exact type of content that you want people to know you for and the content that you want to make, don't keep switching up. Produce that content over and over. Moving on to the second step. And this is important because once you pick a niche, we get into the second step. You have your niche defined, but now you want to analyze your competitors and you want to analyze the market that you're going into, right? The niche that you're going into. And you want to ask yourself, how can you be different? Because if you're the same or you are not as good as the market or your competitors, why would people want to watch you, right? So the goal here is to know your market so you can differentiate yourself and outwork your competition. And I have a little bit of steps of how you can do this. Basically, what I would do and what I've done in the past is list the top competitors, whether that's 10, whether that's 20. I have here 10 to 20, but if it's more competitors that are in your niche for the exact type of content that you want to make, list them out here, right? And for each of them, like I said, you want to really study their content, analyze, what type of hooks are they, doing, what type of formats. Is it more videos, reels, carousels, slider posts? How frequently are they posting? What type of edits? What type of music are they using, right? What type of topics are they talking about? What are their CTAs, their call to actions, right? You want to analyze as much as you can. Analyze, analyze, analyze. And then from there, you're going to start to identify your angle. Like, what type of angle can I come in with, right? How can I twist this content to be a little bit better, to be a little bit different? What is my unique angle, right? What is my tone that I want to deliver this same message or this message, but with my own tone, with my own twist? How can I improve maybe some of the visuals, the data, the storyline? How can you do things different? You have to put your own twist to it, right? Some of the questions I would ask myself and that I ask myself every time I go into a new niche and a new market is how does the market look like? Is it too competitive? Is it even worth it to go into this niche? Sometimes it's not, guys. Sometimes it's just too competitive or there's nothing that you can add. Or sometimes monetary wise, revenue wise, it's hard to build a business around certain types of niches. All of these things you have to ask yourself, right? And really, really, really know your market. You want to also know, like I said, in your competitor research, you want to know who dominates the market, right? Even though you have a lot of competitors, there's always the top five or top 10 people that dominate the market. Study them. Why do they dominate the market? And how can you position yourself to compete with them and bring a new angle to whatever they're doing, right? And what I want you guys to take away is yes, you are analyzing your market and yes, you are analyzing your competitors, but you don't want to copy exactly what they are doing. You want to take inspiration from them, but don't copy what they're doing, as well as don't post below market value. What I mean by that is don't post content that is, if your content is not as good or better than your competitors, generally you don't want to post it, but there's a caveat here. Of course, in the beginning, you're not going to be, maybe you're still developing your skills. You're not going to be at that level of skill developing high quality content. So in the beginning, it's a learning curve, right? But what I'm saying is to get up to that standard that your competitors or that the market is, producing quality content and then even produce better content, right? Over time, right? Moving on to the third thing, and like I said, all of these correlate to one another. You pick your niche, you analyze your market. Now, the third thing is you have your competitors. Now, you want to go into even more in-depth studying their content. You want to reverse engineer what works now, what has worked in the past, and how can you do some of that content as well as other formats. And let me explain to you guys. And why do you want to do this? I've helped many people grow on Instagram, YouTube, and all these different social media platforms. But the reason is because Instagram specifically, the trends change fast. What worked last month may not work this month. What worked last week may not work this week, right? The trends of things going viral, what goes viral changes very fast. What I would do is create a viral doc or spreadsheet, like a Google Doc or a Google spreadsheet with columns. Just outline, like, link the video of your competitors or your research. You can also screenshot it. You can also put what format it is, whether that's a reel, a carousel, what is it, right? You could put even more details here. Like I do some of this with some of the content that I research. Not necessarily all of them. Like I said, just do the ones that you think are most important and that will help you the most. For example, analyze what music they're doing, what's the topic, how's the editing, how's the A roll, the B roll, the link, the captions, the call to action, what are people saying in the comments, right? And then you want to form a hypothesis around why it worked. And do this to the best of your ability. Sometimes, like I said, if you're new, you're probably gonna not be 100% right all the time. But when you start consuming this content, when you start studying this content in the eye of not a consumer, but more of a creator, you start analyzing, oh, okay, that's repeating, right? That is every single reel that has gone viral has this type of hook or has this type of music or is about this topic. You start forming connections of what is working and what is not, right? And I would recommend you guys do this weekly, add 50 to 100 fresh examples from your niche each week. And I would spend a couple hours each week just researching what is working, what is going viral, and just brainstorming different ideas of what type of content that you can make in your niche. Don't just study them, write down, actually force your brain to work and write down to the best of your ability of why you think this video worked. Like, why did it go viral? The next step leading on to that, now it's actually time to make the content. And I have here written down make better content because a lot of you guys are probably already making content, but none of it is going viral, right? You want to focus on quality and then ask yourself, how can I make this the best quality that I can, plus adding my own twist to it, right? And like I said, the principle here is to not copy, is to remix proven ideas that you just researched and add your own voice. This is really important, guys. This next thing that I'm going to show you guys that I have highlighted here, the percentages are not, I don't want you guys to take them like to a T. They're just guidelines, right? What you want to do in your content is a mixture of all these three things. Past proven content that has worked based on your analysis, based on the viral content that you just did in step number three. What type of content has worked? You do that 40 to 50% of the time. And the next 30 to 40% of your content should be current trends. What type of content is going viral right now, and how can you add your own twist to it? The last one is you want to do experimental content, new formats, inspiration outside your niche, and that is just about 10 to 20%. I would say about 20% if you want to be more experimental. And what that means is just experimenting with content that is just your own, that is different ideas that you take from outside your niche. Maybe you take inspiration from movies, maybe you take inspiration from outer sources. This is something similar that I followed. And like I said, it's not 100% that you have to stick with the percentages, but this is something that I followed when I grew my accounts to over 1 million followers. And some things in terms of creating higher quality content that I'm going to break down to you guys right now. If you guys want, I can make a longer video, is focus on your hooks. Hooks are so important, like the first 1 to 2 seconds, like the first line. Focus on a cleaner structure, right? How can you tell a better story? Tighter edits, rhythm, pattern breaks, visuals. How can you edit your video better? The visual anchors, whether that's, what type of text are you using, the overlays and stuff like that. And another thing that I just wanted to add, if you're more educational type of content, is like give specific examples, give specific numbers. Now, that leads us to the fifth one, and that ties all this thing up, right? So basically, you've done all of this. You've niched down, you analyze your market, you studied viral content, now you're making viral content. But this is the most important thing, guys. You got to stay consistent because this social media game is a long-term game. A lot of people quit way too soon. They think that growth is linear, but it's not. Growth is exponential. In the beginning, it feels very, very, very slow. But as you start getting traction, as one video, two video, three videos start to get traction, eventually you will have data, you will have things that you can learn from, and you will have some traction going on that your other content will start to pick up. Please have that ingrained in your mind that this is a long-term game. Now, I want to dive into the consistency and posting multiple times a little bit because this can look different for depending on the type of account that you're starting, whether that's a faceless brand or whether that's a personal brand or whether that's a business brand. In my case, it was multiple faceless brands, which you can get away with posting more in terms of what I've seen. I've also helped clients that are personal brands and they're still consistent, but they're just posting a little bit less. So with personal brands, like I said, I've seen in the past with the clients that I've helped, we post anywhere between like 1 to 3, depending on the client. Like I said, don't take these numbers exactly, but it's just a rough estimate. It depends on, the niche, the client, and what's working for your audience. Staying consistent with the number that we choose, right? When it comes to our faceless brands, like I said, you can post more on there. On the low end for our brands, we were posting 3 to 6 times a day. 6 to 9 was average. On the higher end was 9 to 12. At the peak, I believe me and my team were posting 12 to 15 pieces of content every single day. And that's when we were gaining about 5 to 10,000 followers every single day. I remember one of the months we had like over 300,000 new followers on one of our accounts in one single month. So, like I said, it's just that consistency. And for us, it's really posting every single day and even posting multiple times a day. But you just got to figure out what does your audience like and what can you commit to posting, right? Without sacrificing the quality. Because that's the next thing that you guys see here. The rule that I have is that you want to post and be consistent without dropping the quality of your content. The quality matters more than the quantity, in my opinion. If you're dropping the quality to post more content, I wouldn't do that trade-off. So figure out, stay consistent for the long term, right? Not 1 week, not 2 weeks, but months. And yeah, guys, we got to the end. A quick recap of how you can implement this, right? If you haven't picked your niche, first pick your niche. Really, really pick your niche. Analyze what niche and what sub niche do I want to go into. After you do that, you want to analyze your market, your competitors, know that like the back of your hand, like know that more than your competitors, right? Really, really know your market and ask yourself how you can differentiate yourself. After you've done that, go even more in depth. Study their content, study the viral content that is going viral in your niche in the past and in the present, and track why it worked and how you can recreate it. After you've done that, it's time to produce your own content. And that is to make, like I said, you probably are making content. So you want to make better content. You want to make quality over quantity. But don't just rip someone's content and copy it word for word. You want to add your own twist and your own flavor to that content, right? And eventually something will go viral if you follow that 3 content formula that we just went over. This one right here, something will go viral. And once you start getting traction, is just stay consistent. And that's the 5-step roadmap I would use if I was growing an Instagram account to over 1 million followers. Again, if you guys found this helpful, guys, please like, subscribe, do all that stuff. I'll leave my Instagram down below in the description. If you guys have any questions, just message me. Or if you guys want to connect, just message me on my Instagram as well. Follow me, guys, because I'm going to be documenting my journey in my mid-20s, building my media business and everything about the creator economy. So if you guys are into that type of stuff, subscribe, and I'll talk to you guys next time.